Imagine a world where power is the ultimate prize, but it comes with a price so steep that it could tear you apart, both body and soul. Would you be willing to sacrifice everything, your humanity, your essence, and your future for the throne, the riches, and the glory of an empire? This is the story of Queen Naledi, an ambitious ruler who traded her soul for an eternal reign, only to realize too late the price of such power. Stay with us as we unravel the tale of her rise and fall. It's a story that will make you question the cost of ambition, magic, and the dark forces that govern the world. But before we go on, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating African folktales. And after you've watched, we want to hear from you. What would you have done in Naledi's shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Long ago, before the arrival of foreign invaders or the industrial age, there was a kingdom nestled in the lush hills of what is now southern Africa. It was a land bathed in golden sunsets, where the savanna stretched endlessly, and the people lived in harmony with nature. The kingdom, known as Amasando, was ruled by a wise and noble queen named Naledi. She was known far and wide for her beauty, her intellect, and her fierce determination to lead her people to prosperity. Queen Naledi had inherited the throne from her ancestors, and she had done much to elevate the status of her kingdom. The people were prosperous, the harvests abundant, and her court was filled with the laughter of children. She was revered by all. But Naledi had one insatiable craving power. She had always wanted more than what she had. She wanted to rule not just over Amasando, but over the entire land, perhaps even the heavens themselves. She dreamed of eternal life, unchallenged by time or rivals, a queen without equal. At the heart of the kingdom, beneath the grand palace, lay an ancient and forbidden chamber. It was said to be the resting place of a legendary spirit, Omari, the seer of shadows. It was whispered among the elders that he had the ability to bestow untold power to those willing to pay a price so great that even the bravest kings and queens dared not seek it. One stormy night, when the moon hung low and the stars disappeared beneath dark clouds, Queen Naledi made a decision that would alter the course of her life and her kingdom forever. Queen Naledi, driven by a yearning she could no longer ignore, descended into the forbidden chamber. The air was thick with the scent of ancient incense and the weight of forgotten knowledge. At the far end of the chamber stood a figure cloaked in black, his face obscured by shadows. It was Omari, the spirit who had lived for centuries, his eyes glowing with the wisdom and secrets of the universe. "You seek something," Omari said, his voice a low whisper that seemed to echo through the chamber. "What is it that you desire, Queen of Amasando?" Naledi stood tall, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. She had come this far. There was no turning back now. "I seek power," she said, her voice steady. "Power that will make my kingdom the greatest in the world. Power that will allow me to rule for eternity." Omari's eyes gleamed with an unsettling light. "And what are you willing to give in exchange for such power, Queen Naledi?" She hesitated. The stories told of the terrible price one had to pay for such magic, but she would not turn back. Her desire for greatness burned like a fire in her soul. "I will give you my soul," she declared, her voice unwavering. Omari's lips twisted into a smile. "Very well. Your soul is mine. In exchange, you shall rule forever, your power unchallenged. You will have all that you desire, but remember, the price is steep. Once you have taken what is offered, you cannot undo it." With that, Omari raised his hands, and the room seemed to grow colder, darker. Shadows began to swirl around Queen Naledi, wrapping themselves around her body like tendrils. She felt her essence being pulled away, a sensation unlike anything she had ever known. The air crackled with energy, and for a moment, the world around her disappeared into a void of pure darkness. When the shadows receded, Queen Naledi stood alone, but she felt different. She felt more powerful, more alive than she had ever been. Her senses were heightened, her mind clearer. She knew that the power she had sought was now hers. But at what cost? The moment Queen Naledi left the chamber, the world seemed to change around her. The very ground beneath her feet seemed to hum with energy. When she returned to her people, they could sense the change in her. She was more commanding, more regal. The people revered her even more, but there was a new edge to her demeanor, an edge that frightened even her closest advisors. Under her rule, Amasando flourished like never before. Her military forces grew stronger, her economy boomed, and her enemies fell one by one. The harvests were plentiful, and the people grew content. Yet, Queen Naledi became more and more distant. She no longer held court with the commoners, no longer listened to the pleas of the elders. Instead, she surrounded herself with those who worshipped her as a deity. But it wasn't just her kingdom that changed. The very land itself seemed to bend to her will. The crops grew faster, the rivers flowed with more vigor, and the animals of the savannah flourished. Queen Naledi had become a living legend, her name sung in the songs of the people. She was no longer a queen, she was a goddess. But as the years passed, a strange feeling began to settle in her heart, gnawing emptiness that she couldn't shake. Despite all the power, the riches, and the endless adoration, something was wrong. She began to sense a darkness creeping in, like a shadow that followed her everywhere she went. As the seasons changed, so too did Queen Naledi. Her once radiant beauty began to fade. Her skin, which had once been flawless and glowing, now seemed pale, almost translucent. Her eyes, once full of compassion and wisdom, grew cold and distant, their once warm light replaced by an unnatural, flickering glow. Her body felt weaker, her strength diminishing with each passing day, though her magical abilities remained as powerful as ever. One day, an old advisor named Kofi, who had served her family for decades, approached her with a heavy heart. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "there is something wrong. The people are beginning to whisper, and I fear they have lost faith in you." Queen Naledi frowned, her face hardening. "They should be grateful," she snapped. "I have given them everything they could ever want. I have made them prosperous." "But at what cost, Your Majesty?" Kofi asked gently. "The spirits of our ancestors are restless. There is a dark force that follows you, and it has infected the very land we live on." Queen Naledi's eyes flared with anger. "Do not speak of such nonsense, Kofi. I have made my choice, and I will not turn back." Kofi sighed. "It is not just your kingdom that suffers, my queen. It is you. You are slowly losing yourself. The price you paid for power has begun to take its toll." But Naledi would not listen. Her ambition had made her deaf to reason, and so she continued her reign. But with each passing day, her kingdom began to fall apart. As the years wore on, the curse grew stronger. The once thriving fields of Amasando began to wither. The rivers that once flowed with life ran dry, and the animals of the savannah fled. Her people, once loyal, now whispered of her greed and cruelty. But even in the face of their fear, Queen Naledi refused to surrender her power. She couldn't. She had sacrificed too much. One fateful night, as the winds howled and the sky split with thunder, Omari appeared before her once more, his shadowy figure looming in the darkness. "You have enjoyed the power I gave you, Queen Naledi," he said, his voice a cold whisper. "But now, the price has come due." Naledi stood tall, her face twisted with defiance. "I am the queen. I have ruled for centuries. You cannot take this from me." Omari smiled, revealing his sharp, jagged teeth. "It was never yours to keep. Your soul is mine, and so is everything you have built. Your kingdom, your power, and your very being, all of it, will crumble." Suddenly the ground beneath her palace began to tremble. The sky grew dark, and the earth cracked open as dark shadows poured from the cracks. Queen Naledi screamed as the shadows enveloped her, dragging her into the very depths of the earth, where she would be forever bound to the price she had paid. What do you think? Was Queen Naledi's ambition worth the price she paid? Could she have avoided the darkness, Or was her fate sealed from the moment she made that fateful choice? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping African folktales. Stay tuned for more stories of magic, power, and fate. The journey has only just begun.